This is the first race of the second half of the season. Welcome everybody to the Hungaroring and our venue for round 13 of RCR Season 5. A track which has been likened to Monaco but without the barriers. Built in just 8 months, this circuit has become a mainstay of the Formula 1 calendar. 4.381 kilometers of circuit, 14 corners, 8 of them go right, 6 go left. The track has 2 DRS zones, both of which are triggered by the single DRS detection zone just before the final corner. Well then, last week was a very entertaining race indeed, and it actually shook up our standings even further than usual. And Mr. DJ CJ took the lead of the championship by 9 points over Binary after an incredible finish from him. He finished that race second after, well, not expecting to do very well at all. Qualified 6th. Binary, the challenger, qualified 7th, but only finished 8th after taking a penalty and also having a late safety car in the race, dropping him down the order massively. Lex has been looking quick in practice. We'll go over the, I'll just show the track there. If I can, there we go. We are on round 13. We've just, well, with 12 more rounds to go in this season, we are exactly at the halfway point. Thank you very much, Huff and Dolbach, for the compliment. And as you can see by the track map, just two DRS zones, but both of which, as I mentioned before, controlled by the singular DRS detection zone. And why that is so important and why I've brought it up twice is because, well, if a car is behind going into turn 14, they're going to get 2 helpings of DRS. That helps them secure an overtake if they have made one. Incredibly difficult to overtake here, essentially. If you don't overtake going into turn 4, before turn 4, sorry, you're going to have a very tough time of doing so before you get onto the start-finish straight. There are plenty of cars going out, so we'll clear the screen. We'll get underway. Data, that's exactly what I want. Full track map. Let's go to somebody who's on track at the moment, on an outlap furthest forward. At the moment, that is... We will find them. I think it's David Kovalaki or Huff and Dolbach. It's Huff and Dolbach. We'll stick on board with Huff and Dolbach then. One of my favourite circuits. There's not many, it's not really a driver's circuit per se, because obviously the lack of overtaking for the majority of it plays quite well. On the F1 24 games, or on all the F1 games, it plays quite well, generates quite some good racing. And since the changes to the ground effect cars, has generated some great races in recent history. So then, on board with Huff and Dolbach, going down to the first corner. He's going to want to get it absolutely pinned down and then let the car roll in. You can see there, he's sticking it in 3rd gear. That's because this track really doesn't have many slow corners, and those that it does, you can still roll and hang out the speed. Gets tucked in nicely. Wants to avoid that inside curb, though, of the hairpin of turn 2. Now, brave as you can, hang it in, gear down twice, almost no braking there. Into turn 4. You want to avoid the exit curb just on the outside there, the sausage curb. And as you can see, clipping the inside of that chicane, doing very well at the moment is Huff and Dolbach. It's looking like a very good time already. Hitting the ground running, these drivers are. Of course, for the uninitiated, if you look down in the bottom right of your screens, you'll see the track map. Every time that flags up purple in a certain sector, that means that that driver has gone fast as everybody. Huff and Dolbach will do that because he's the first one on the track at the moment, setting a time in all 3 sectors, crossed the line, and it's a 1:15.2 for Huff and Dolbach. Great time to start off the session. But we've got a driver here that's doing one better. Second last time out, as I said, in Britain. And he's now looking to solidify his lead in the championship here. He's going to cross the line. It's looking like a 1:14, and it is. It's a 1:14.7. 5/10 ahead of Mr. DJ CJ already, as David Kovalaki puts in a 1:15.3. We're on board now with Assassin Savage, who's rounding out the final corners. Round turn 14 he goes. Ace puts in a 1:16. Savage puts in a 1:15.7. Slowest so far of those in the 1:15s. Reese Max as well. What can he do as he crosses the line? And it's a 1:16.8. Quite pedestrian that time compared to everybody else. As Webbsy puts in the fastest lap of the race, of the session so far. On to provisional pole he goes. We're going to stick with Santry now. He's rounding out those final turns. And it's a 1:15.4. Santry up into 5th place on the grid. Somebody who has been showing some incredible form lately, but has been unable to convert on that, is of course Slazenger of Volvo. Last time out, he qualified 4th, finished 5th. Probably could have finished higher, but the late safety car ruined his chances of that, and CJ made a great overtake on him in the final stages of that race. He'll be wanting to bounce back here, though, and he is doing, with the fastest first sector of anybody so far this session. Really displays just how tricky this circuit is. A lot of the time through this sector, you're not even braking, you're just lifting off and gauging exactly where to apply the throttle again. And Slaz is going fastest of anybody so far. 2 purple sectors for him. He's going to come round the hairpin of turn 13. Incredibly difficult as Lex goes fastest with a 1:14.616. Can Slaz go faster than him? He's got 2 purple sectors already. He's coming up to the start finish line. It's 1:14.3. Slazenger of Volvo takes provisional pole early on in this session. We have 11 minutes left. It's a short lap. The track will keep on ramping up as we go along. That's because as the rubber lays down, the track gets hotter. The tyres stick to it easier, and well, basically means that the times will get faster and faster as we go along. So far, it looks like nobody is actually out on a lap. We got Huff and Dolbach going again. He set the fastest time of anybody when he went out first, because he was out first. Let's see if he can improve. He'll have a new set of soft tyres on. Here he goes then. About to begin his next qualifying lap. It's nicely turned in to the hairpin. Great exit. Wide on the curb. And traffic slightly in the way there. I think that was Reese Max. But did well to get out of the way, to be fair to him. And we are going to struggle with traffic in this session. There are 14 drivers, all of which will be on track probably towards the very end. And it's a very short circuit, as I've said, and quite a slow circuit as well. So it's going to get quite chaotic towards the end of this session. We are just doing the 1 qualifying session. And then we'll be straight into a 50% race after that. Got a caution in Sector 2, but I believe that is just a car slowing down and allowing another pass. And just look at Huff and Dolbach here. Flying at the moment through the sector, goes fastest in the second and goes 0.3 faster than his previous time so far. If he goes 0.3 faster, that's going to put him in a 1:14.8 zone, 1:14.9. So going to put himself ahead of Micromash in that top 5 area. Let's see what he can do. Rounding out the final corner, across the line, it's a 1:14.8 and puts him exactly that, just ahead of Micromash. But out on track at the moment. Let's try and find somebody who's close to starting or finishing a lap. think Assassin Savage is about to complete a lap. I am right there. No, I'm not. We'll stick on board with CJ then, who's halfway around the track. I don't want to flick too much through the camera angles and switch between drivers, so... CJ so far in 4th place. Didn't qualify well in Britain, but that didn't really make much of a difference, did it? Still finished 2nd in the race, and there's no points for qualifying. Let's see. Across the line, it's a 1:14.353. Goes fastest of anybody in the session so far. On to provisional pole. Mr. DJ CJ goes. Assassin Savage went fastest in the first, but goes faster than his previous time. Unfortunately for him, not doesn't improve much. On board with BXTN, who's yet to set a time. Oh, a little bit of a correction there for BXTN out of turn 2. It's difficult to get these corner, the hairpins right around here, especially because you're trying to gauge when to put down the power, and it can cause the back end to kick out a bit if you put too much traction, put too much power through those wheels. The back end just doesn't want to comply with the front. Driver's doing well to stay out of the way. They want not to stop on the track, though. That's probably more dangerous than anything. This is looking quick from BXTN. But he'll definitely want another run at it. I don't think this is provisional pole time. Could be wrong. No, it's a 1:15 flat. That puts BXTN in 8th place. He'll definitely want another stab at that. And where's Websy at the moment? He's 100th down on his time. As Lex goes even faster with a 1:14.171. We're definitely going to have to catch Lex's last run. Because at the moment, he's showing that he's got the pace to take pole around here. He's on provisional pole at the moment. Websy's about to cross the line. It's 1:14.623. Puts him in 4th. It's the 2nd row of the grid for Websy. And faster still, Slazenger Volvo. It's great to see him back into the mix with all the others. Unfortunately, I've just jinxed him, though, as he's invalidated his lap time. And that means that he's going to have to either do a cooldown and another run at it. David Kovalaki. Thank you very much for the follow, by the way, Assassin Savage, if you are listening. Really appreciate it. David Kovalaki. He's been improving, to be honest with you. I mean, I know he's down in 10th at the moment. We've got a varied skill gap here in RCR, so just because one driver is down in 10th doesn't mean, you know, they're not improving. I've seen great improvement from David as he's been coming up through the field. Currently sat in 10th. Looks like he's improving on his time at the moment. He's rounding out the final corner. It does look like it's going to be a 1:14 this time around, and it is. It's a 1:14.965. Just manages to get it in the 14s. And that puts him up to 8th, though, just ahead of BX10, who we absolutely know is no slouch. And I feel like I say this quite often, but this is the calm before the storm. About 4 minutes left in this session. The drivers that pull the trigger early and go out will probably be a bit of a deficit, really. That's Ace at the moment. Who's coming out onto the track. And there we go. I was about to say the camera isn't fixating on him, but it is now. Ace down in 12th at the moment. Assassin Savage also out on track, down in 11th. These drivers maybe want to stay out of the way of everybody else, get the time and make it clean. There's no benefit really to getting a tow here at all because the majority of the lap is behind another car, or is in the turn, sorry. Obviously, if you're behind another car, the majority of the lap will be behind another car. But what I'm trying to say is that there's no benefit for a tow because there's just the 1 or 1.5 straights really. The rest of it is all corners and you'll just upset the car throughout the entire lap, losing yourself time because that'll make the car unstable. Here we go then. Ace starts his lap. DRS open. Kind of misses the apex a little bit on the inside of turn 1. They want to correct that for this time into 2. Nice and tidy through there from Ace, who DNF'd last time in Silverstone. He didn't finish the race basically because, well, he lost control of the car coming out of Cops, I believe it were. And that essentially meant that that late safety car caused absolute chaos for everybody. If you've not watched the race, I do implore you to at least go back and watch the very end of it. You can find it in the race replays on Twitch, or you can go on my YouTube channel and find it there. Same name, Archer above. But the end to that race was something else. So we're sticking on board with Ace, who's looking like he's going to improve on his time just slightly. Everyone else on outlaps at the moment. Got Slaz doing a lap though. So Ace puts himself up in 11th. We'll go to Assassin Savage, who Slaz goes with a 114.128. So that's Slaz's last and final run. We'll see if anybody can match it. It's early on in the session though. Early on towards the end, I mean. As Assassin Savage does Ace one better and puts himself up into 11th. So who is going to be the first to cross the line and start a lap? That would be Lex. So here we go then. We said we're going to watch Lex's final run. We have just that now. Lex desperately trying to get himself back into contention for this championship. He's currently 53 points behind Mr. DJ CJ. The last time that he led the championship was back in Miami, which was some good amount of races ago. Slower in the first sector. That was probably because of the little kick of oversteer that he had coming out of turn 1. Plenty to do for Lex. Just 500ths to gain on Slaz. He's now a 10th down, essentially. Here comes Lex then, through the second sector. He's invalidated his lap time! I've just noticed Lex has invalidated his lap, which means that he's not going to be able to improve on his time. BXTN is next on the road. Let's see what BXTN can do. Lex is resigned to start on the front row provisionally. BXTN is going 6/10 faster though. This is absolutely to the wire for BXTN. He's only done one proper run at it with a 1:15.0. 6/10 faster in the first and second sectors is going to be around a 1:14.4. Is he going to be able to gain that extra 2/10 over the rest of the field? He crosses the line. It's a 1:14.3. Somebody spun out on track. Websy has spun out on track. Where is everybody else? I'm Mr. DJ CJ coming across the line. Goes with a 1:14.2. He does not improve. Websy can't improve because he's spun out. Micromash 12 seconds down on his time. That, I think, is your entire qualifying session over. Sanchez going a 10th faster. He's about to cross the line and he puts in a 1:15.2, so goes slower. So that is our qualifying order then. Very chaotic towards the end. But there you have it. Okay then, so let's run down the final qualifying order. So Slazenger Volvo clinches provisional pole away from Lex, who couldn't take the final lap because he invalidated it, couldn't make his final attempt. Them two start on the front row. On the second row, I'm Mr. DJ, CJ and BXTN. On the third, Websy and Huff and Dolbach. On the fourth row, Michael Mash and the guy that's second in the championship, Binary, 7th and 8th. David Kovalaki and Santrud round out your top 10. And then it's Assassin Savage, Ace, Reese Max and Cottony Goblin, who did not set a time. So there we go then. Very interesting qualifying session between everybody though. CJ qualifying up high, doing just enough, well, doing enough to remain ahead of Binary in the standings. If it remains that way, Binary will have a lot to do in the race, just as he did last week. But it's all about the pole sitter, isn't it? His first pole in RCR this season. This is a guy that's had 2 championships. 2103. 2103. I assume he means 2203. So BXTN there with the start time. Yeah, he does mean 2203. BXTN there with the start time. So the session will start at 2203. Just 4 minutes from now. In the meantime, let's review the standings again, because we do like to have a little look at the standings, don't we? 9 points between the two at the top. Binary, again, has it all to do, doesn't it, in this race to try and usurp CJ back off the top spot. Binary was the one leading the championship by just 2 points last week before the Silverstone Grand Prix. And, well, how it turns around so quickly. And Lex also in contention for that top spot. He's 53 points behind. However, we are on round 13 of 24. This is a very, very long season, and a lot can change. CJ has scored 190 points in the first half. So that means there's at least 190 more points available for the rest of them, or for somebody, if not more. Well, definitely more. Well, let's go over the stats then. CJ may be at the top of the standings, but, well, he's only had 2 wins in total this season, compared to Binary, who, in second has 4. Lex has 3 wins. BXTN and Websy have 1 apiece. It's where the consistency for CJ that's helping him along. Average finishing position of 3rd. He's doing just enough, isn't he, to stay ahead, to keep his championship alive. He's never won a championship in RCR. Previous winners here for RCR, not for actual Formula 1. Websy's won in Season 1. Season 2's BXTN. They're the only 2 drivers in the current standings on the current grid who have scored a win. The other 2 are no longer racing in RCR. Slazenger Volvo has taken pole before here, so this is his 2nd pole position at Hungary. If you're wondering why we've got the brief lull before the start of the race, just to allow drivers to pick the setups to go and have a quick drink. It's going to be an hour-long race probably, so better to do it now than need to go to the bathroom during the race, and well, you can't really pee in the seat because then you'll get an electric shock. Mostly Xbox players, as you can see. I think Lex is on PlayStation, so is Micromash. This is Micromash's first race for RCR in a while, to be fair. Not seen him in a bit. But great stuff from Slazenger Volvo to take pole. I've been saying that he's been coming back up through the back to where he used to be. He had a quite dominant season in season 3. I think it was season 3. Season 3 and 4, really. But this game, not to his liking so far, but has managed to turn it all around. And now he's on pole for the first time this season. We are now at 22.03, so I'm assuming that we're about to get underway. While we wait then, go over some stats. Lewis Hamilton has won more Hungarian Grand Prix than any other driver with his tally of 8 and holds the record for the most poles at any single circuit, which is this one, 9 poles for the 7-time world champion. We were just going through the stats. The race is about to begin. First of all, though, we've got the formation lap. And let's have a look at the tyres that everybody has chosen. So, medium's the way to go. Not a single driver on an alternate strategy. Somebody very far behind has to catch up with the field. That's Cottony Goblin. And if you've just so happened to stumble on Formula 1 on my stream, the first time ever, just go over the tyre compounds with you. So, essentially, if the race is dry, the drivers will run slick tyres. They're the smooth tyres. And there's 3 different compounds of those. So we've got the soft, the medium, and the hard. As Mr. DJ CJ is disconnected from the session. This will be the second time in a row, I believe, that he's done that. So we're going to have to swiftly try and get him back into the game. Be very frustrated with that, I'm sure. David Kovalaki. There we go. CJ's managed to get himself back in. So that may be a tough start for CJ then. I'll continue with the with the waffle about the tyres. 3 different compounds. You've got the soft, the medium, and the hard. The hard being the slowest but most durable tyres. So that will take you longer into the race, but will give you an overall slower race pace. And then working up from there. So the medium faster and the soft faster than that, but less durable at each iteration. The drivers have to make 1 pit stop if the track remains dry. So if the rain starts, they do not have to make their mandatory pit stop. However, the drivers will, if the race remains dry, have to run at least 2 different compounds of dry tyre. You can't switch from medium to medium. Okay then. So the lights come on. And the lights go out. It's the start of the Hungarian Grand Prix for RCR. Slazenger Volvo takes off, but Lex looks like he's got a better start. He's already slotting in behind Slaz, who's trying to defend his very much well-earned pole position. And 3 wide into turn 1 they go. Several cars already squabbling for position. BXTN and Mr. DJ CJ has fallen down a place, but has managed to come right back at BXTN. He's going to try and hang it round the outside of turn 2. Doesn't manage to get it to stick, though, as well. Unfortunately for him, there's not very much traction outside of the BXTN. Slow. Sorry, not slow. Very fast. Tries to go around the outside of Lex. Lex goes out of position. Gets clocked by BXTN. That's not really a place to make an overtaking maneuver. And, well, Lex will definitely have some things to say about that. He's moved down to 7th from 2nd. BXTN on a charge then up against Slazenger of Volvo. I'm Mr. DJ CJ just keeping in touch behind. He stays in position as Micromash has DNF'd from the session all the way down the order. He's crashed into the wall, and we've already got a safety car, just like last week early on in the race, which we had a virtual safety car. This time around, we have a full course safety car, and that is going to nullify the field. It's not really the time to come into the pits. I wonder if anybody will gamble and try to go onto a different tyre. I doubt it, though, as we are only 1 lap in this race. That was an incredible start from Slaz to get off the line, defend his position. He did that very well. And really all the drama happened behind as Binary comes into the pits, more than likely for a wing change. So let's stick on board with him and see what his team is going to do once he gets to his grid box. To his pit box, sorry. So no wing. And switches over to the hard tyre. So interesting little gamble from Binary, who maybe thinks that this tyre can go all the way to the end. But Binary, the only driver now that has made his mandatory pit stop, his mandatory switch onto the second tyre. Assassin Savage has just got a 10-second time penalty for a collision with Huff and Dolbach. So he's run into the back of the Scotsman. So all the drivers driving very slowly behind the safety car as it keeps pace, as as in normal Formula One circumstances, if it wasn't a game, the marshals would be out clearing the track of Micro Mash's car. It's not the case here. Safety car usually stays out for 3 whole laps and comes back in on the 3rd. So we've got a couple more laps to go of this. And that collision with BXTN and Lex. Lex has done well to stay in this. If I remember, you know, it all happened so fast. I feel as BXTN had a little look on the inside. Who's just gone into the pits? Assassin Savage has just gone into the pits after picking up that 10-second time penalty and has retired from the session. So he feels that he's not going to be able to continue and and make an impact on this race with having that 10-second time penalty. His race is essentially ruined. He'd have to have good stroke of luck and another safety car after serving 10 seconds to then be able to get back into this race from there. So I don't blame him, really. At least he's finished in the pit lane. I think Ace has just disconnected from the session. So while they go around, I'll try and get Ace back in. Hopefully that is a disconnect and not Ace rage quitting. He's up in 9th, so I doubt he's gonna rage quit. All to play for. We've got 14 drivers in this session, 2 of which have DNF'd. Now there's just 2 places in which you can't score points. The rest of them will really help any drivers bid in the championship. And Slaz and Enduro Volvo rounding them, taking them round these final few corners. The safety car, believe maybe in this lap. Yes, it is. There we go. So safety car coming in. So that will start to pull away from Slaz and Enduro Volvo. And now it is up to Slaz to decide when he's going to resume this race. There's no overtaking for anybody until they have crossed the start-finish line. And let's see what Slaz decides to do. The XTN all over the back of Slaz. And that is going to be very difficult to gauge when he can go. And he's already gone, but BXTN is all over the back of him and may be able to capitalize on this here. Just 2 tenths between the two of them. He's going to be dumping the battery from his car at the moment, and he has done so. He's going to try up the inside. Slaz locks up a little bit. That's going to send him wide. That sends him on the outside of turn 1. He did so well at the start of this race, and now he's down a position to BXTN and looking under threat from our Mr. DJ CJ as well, who's coming in very close to Slaz. But now we're going to go through the second sector with no real overtaking opportunities. Webbsy's doing well to keep in touch with this pack as well. And look at Lex down in 5th. He'll be thankful for this safety car. Bunching up the field again. That's going to keep him in play. He's obviously got the pace to win here. We've got 3 second time penalties already, and Reese Max falling down the order, and it's a virtual safety car. He's lost the front wing. Something has happened there. I don't think he came into contact with anybody, but if he did, that'll be reported to the stewards. And again, race nullified. But this time around, it's BXTN in the lead of this race. So the difference between the full safety car and the virtual, even though I think it's the full safety car, isn't it? Yeah, I think we've been misled here. It says virtual safety car, but I think it's the full thing because the safety car is actually out on track. So then, into the pits comes our Mr. DJ CJ. He's going to bolt on those hard tyres. And he is now going to try and go to the end on those. The safety car has picked up BXTN. BXTN now in control of this race, but he's going to have to repeat. He's going to have to not repeat, sorry, what Slaz did upon the safety car restart, which was Slaz essentially just started the race as normal from the final corner, which unfortunately for him was very predictable for BXTN, who called it, and then Slaz got out of all sorts when under pressure from the overtake, and then essentially lost control of the car and then lost first place. And now he's got BXTN's teammate breathing down his neck as well. The race winner last week, Websy, all over the back. Will be all over the back, sorry. It's obviously all over the back now. Will be all over the back of Slaz because he has had a bit of a morale boost as of late. And will no doubt be wanting to continue the form that he showed in Silverstone. So why this is important? So I feel like Binary is going to really struggle. Like really struggle on his tyres at the very end. CJ, maybe not so much. Maybe. He's going to struggle. But because you see how it says that they've done 4 laps, for example. Binary's done 4 laps on this tyre. Well, they're not four full racing laps. They're 3 laps under the safety car. So essentially, he's only really done one racing lap on this tyre. CJ will have only done 1 race. Well, these tyres are going to be basically fresh. They're going to be basically like he's done 1 racing lap on them when the safety car comes in on lap 8. But it will still be a tall order. We'll probably do around 28 essential laps on the hard tyre. This has put Lex back up into 5th. Back up into 4th, sorry. He's just 2 positions away from the man that started on pole. But 3 away from the driver that he collided with into turn 4 early on in this race. Lex did well not to pick up any damage if he doesn't have any. So we may be able to go on board with Websy and check behind us. Doesn't look like he's got damage on that front wing. Although the pack is now slowed down by BXTN. He's going to bunch them all up. He's going to make it very difficult for them to manage their own pace. As you can see, some drivers struggling with that. We've got David Kovalaki, who has a 10-second time penalty now. Again, somebody behind Huff and Dolbach. And I think BXTN... Yeah, BXTN has pulled the trigger and has gone. Slazenger Volvo just 4 tenths behind him, but he's not as close as BXTN was the last time around. It's going to be very difficult for Slaz to overtake BXTN. Into turn 1 they go, and it looks like BXTN has done just enough to remain ahead. And Mr. DJ, CJ and Santry battling it out. CJ up into 9th place, hard on the brakes, into turn 1, And he says, thank you very much. I'll be taking that from you. And up into 9th on, which is now his race finishing strategy. Please ignore the fact that it says safety car. There is no safety car out. It's just an unfortunate bug with the game. Actually, can we? No. I thought if I cleared the thing, it would clear the safety car warning, but it hasn't done. Oh well. And we're following the top 3 at the moment. Websy, 3/10 from Slaz. Slaz is incredibly quick here, isn't he? If we just look at the gap that he's keeping to BX10, as I say that, he starts to lose it. But really, he only needs to be within 3 or 4 tenths when they get out of this corner here. And who is 3 or 4 tenths out of this corner? It's Websy, who's going to get DRS after this lap, though. Yeah, no DRS until the next lap. Just see if they get it out of this corner. They don't. So the next time around, they'll have DRS. So BXTN has to break the 1 second mark between him and Slaz. And Websy absolutely to the limit here, so close to the back of Slaz. It's incredible how closely they can all follow each other, how much trust they have at the front of the field. Just shows how fine the margins are as well. They don't need to brake earlier. They don't need to predict when the driver ahead is going to hit the brakes, because they're all so very close in terms of pace. But sticking with BXTN is this field at the moment. 3 drivers behind him, and then a gap to Huff and Dolbach. BXTN, Slazenger, Websy, Lex, all together. And here they go then. Websy's going to put pressure on Slazenger Volvo. Slaz is going to put pressure on BXTN. The start-finish straight isn't long enough. And Slaz has a tiny lock-up into the first corner. Websy is going to capitalise on that. Just 2 tenths between the two of them. Is he going to have a look up the inside of turn 2? No, he's not. He's not going to have a look up the inside of turn 2. It's going to have to wait another lap. And it looks as though this DRS train is saving BX10 a little bit. He's got enough of a gap between him and Slaz. Slaz at the moment can't close in. CJ and Ace very close to each other. CJ's going to clear this field as soon as possible. We've got a yellow flag. Who is that for? That's David Kovalaki, who's picked up the pace again. So a brief moment for David, who's down in 11th at the moment. And here we go again then. Slazenger and Volvo rounding out the final corner, breathing down the neck of BXTN, who moments ago took the lead away from him. He's going to try and take it back. On the DRS he goes, with overtake surely. On the inside of turn 1, BXTN is going to fight it hard, but it's not going to be enough. Slazenger has that second helping of DRS to help solidify his lead in this race, and it's going to be BXTN who's going to have to do exactly what Slaz did, follow closely for the entirety of this lap. And pray that he's going to stick with him long enough to get that helping of DRS, the same helping of DRS that Slaz got on lap 9, lap 10. Four drivers all in contention for the win. And the gap is just not changing. You've got to think that this is going to be like this until the end of the race, maybe? Look at them all, bunched up together, all four of them fighting for the win. This is exactly the kind of racing we like to see. And also charging through the field is Binary and I'm Mr. DJ CJ, who have importantly already made their pit stops. So a bit of jeopardy in this race, and Websy trying to make the overtake on Lex. Around the outside he goes. It's very difficult to make the overtake there. Websy's going to get that second helping. He's lost the back end a little bit. Websy just losing the back end slightly. He's going to have to give it another go. I'm not sure if there was contact there. I don't think so. It's just a dirty part of the track. Not offering as much grip. He's gone slightly out of touch with those ahead. But he can close in again. Shown that he's got great pace around here. And BXTN is doing incredibly well to fend off Slazenger Volvo, the man that took pole. And Lex will want a bit of redemption. Last week in Silverstone, made a poor call really. Didn't come into the pits when the safety car came out late on. Stayed out, which essentially cost him dearly. Speaking of costing him dearly, here goes Slaz on BXTN again. And these two swapping positions time and time again. What an incredible race this has been so far, but BX10 has importantly slightly lost touch with Slaz at the moment, and that's put Lex on the back of him. And Lex without that pressure from Websy behind, who's now 7-8 tenths behind, maybe losing the grip in his tyres slightly. He's now under pressure from Huff and Dolbach as well, but it's giving Lex breathing room, isn't it? If we look at the way this race is shaping up, Lex maybe putting pressure on BXTN come out of turn 14. And now, 4 become 5. 4 become 5. All together, all fighting for essentially first place in this race. We'll go on board with Lex just to see that whole pack as they come through. It's 3 tenths between him and BXTN. BXTN's doing more than enough, though, to fend off the charging Lex. Slaz with a little lockup. That's not going to help his tyres one bit. We've got a yellow flag. Who is that for? It's another safety car. That's Ace, who's crashed out again and caused another safety car. He did the same last week late on in Silverstone. And that charge from I'm Mr. DJ CJ and Binary banking on those hard tyres, that has ruined their race because they're not going to be able to take those tyres to the end. Or do they have another set of mediums maybe? That's the question, isn't it? Do they have a set of mediums that could take them to the end? Or are they going to have to stick it out on this tyre? This gives everyone an opportunity at the front. These top 5 drivers gives them an opportunity to come in, switch onto the hards and go to the end now. Definitely doable from here. It'll put CJ and Binary into first and second place if they stay out and stick with the strategy call that they've made. But that 20-second advantage that they'd have, that would essentially... So if the other drivers came in under normal circumstances, CJ and Binary would have about 20 seconds over the rest of them because that's how long a pit stop normally takes. And they have this stayed out. They've got nothing else they can do, really. And they're going to have to fight tooth and nail between each other and between all those behind. Santry as well also came into the pits under the safety car conditions. That flew under my radar. So we've got 3 drivers at the moment who are on 9 to 12 lap old hard tyres. They've obviously been under safety car conditions for 6 of those laps. We take a little bit of life out of those tyres. We'll say 4 laps. CJ will be on 5-lap old hard tyres. Binary 8 and Santry, sorry, 7. Now the hard tyre is quite durable. So will we see much of a pace difference between Slaz on 0-lap old hard tyres, completely fresh, against the 11 and 12? Maybe not. Maybe not. I'm thinking maybe the deficit will come towards them at the end. Because if it happens immediately, if CJ, Binary, Santry are all already at a disadvantage in terms of pace, we already know that they're at a disadvantage in terms of actual tyre life. If they're at a disadvantage in terms of pace, then they are in trouble, because there's no reason for them to stay. Maybe there is a reason for them to stay on the hard tyre until the end, but where they're going to finish isn't what they hoped for when they made the strategy call the first time round. We've had 2 safety cars. 3 safety cars, sorry. I was trying to discount the VSC, but it wasn't a VSC, was it? It was an actual safety car. Cottony Goblin. That's an intermediate tyre. How was Cottony Goblin accidentally put on intermediate tyres? He very much made sure that he was slowed down for the pit lane speed line, and gets on his way. He's got 5-lap old mediums on, so Cottony Goblin will have to pit again, you would assume. There's 20 laps remaining in this session. And I doubt very many more safety cars. I don't think we're going to have another one to the end now. I'm pretty sure the game has like a soft limit on the amount of safety cars that can happen. Unless something completely drastic happens, then it overrides it. But fairly certain that if you have too many safety cars, it stops throwing them out. So, hopefully... Well, maybe not. Maybe not for some of the drivers in this session, but hopefully for us. This is it until the end. Two wins under his belt for RCR. This season, I mean. I didn't really pull together all his wins for the actual seasons. He's never won here at Hungary, though. We've done 5 seasons of RCR, as you can assume from the title of the video, or the stream. Now Mr. DJ CJ leads this race for the final safety car lap before it comes in. He's taken pole twice this season, and he's looking like a very strong contender for this driver's title, isn't he? Red Bull at the top of the constructors' standings. Red Bull first and second in the Drivers' Championship. Red Bull first and second in this race. If you're wondering why they're not Red Bulls, it's because, well, the game doesn't have equal cars. So we have to run the F1 World Car. But they are both Red Bulls. Binary and CJ. And they're both in very close contention for the Drivers' Championship. Just 9 points between them. And just 5/10 between them on track at the moment. As the safety car rounds out the final turns. And will come in. We'll get this race back underway again. On board with Binary. He's got to be thinking to himself, I need to get ahead of my teammate here. I need to get ahead of my title rival and check out into the distance before these hard tyres go completely off the cliff. Because those behind me, the likes of Slazenger, the likes of BXTN, the likes of Websy, the CJ has gone and Binary hasn't realised it. Binary caught sleeping and CJ already gone on the outside there. Slazenger of Volvo on the outside of turn 14. So close together as they come up to turn 1. Slaz is going to have a look on the inside of turn 1. He comes together slightly with Santry, but it's not going to matter because Slaz already has that position and is up into third. CJ with a magnificent race safety car restart. And Binary will be ruining that as Slaz is all over the back of him and fastest in the first sector as well. And he is the fastest in the first sector out of the 3 of them after this safety car restart. And he's hot on the heels of Binary at the moment. But BXTN is not long behind and very close to Slazenger of Volvo. We've got Santry who's already moved down 2 places since the safety car restart. He's down in 5th at the moment. Probably because of getting out of sorts into turn 1 when Slaz overtook him. Oh, and Slaz is so close to the back of Binary, isn't he? And Binary, these tyres are gone, aren't they? In comparison to fresh hards, which is evident. It goes without saying. But they had no choice. DRS enabled. But it won't be for this lap. Slaz closing in later on the brakes than Binary, but Binary manages to hold on and runs Slaz off the track slightly, and that allows BXTN through, and Slaz gets caught up with BXTN, dips a tyre into the grass, and he's going to lose another place as well, potentially, to Santry, who's very close behind, but just misses out on picking up that place because Slaz managed to just hold on, and he's going to have a bit of respite through the 2nd and 3rd sectors. Well, that was very dramatic, wasn't it? Websy down in 7th. But all over the back of Lex. And we're going to be seeing some penalties here because I've seen plenty of drivers going off into the runoff area. And, well, it may not be corner cutting, but it's exceeding the track limits and they'll get warnings for that. So we're going to see some 3-second penalties heading their way soon, and they've got to keep those off because, as we've seen, safety cars can come at any moment. As BXTN slightly collides with the back of Binary. I don't know if he's picked up any wing damage. Look how close they all are. Slaz, BXTN, Binary. They're going to go into turn 1. BXTN moves to the outside of the corner. But as we've seen time and time again, it's not beneficial to go outside. And Slaz has picked up the place from BXTN, picks up the place from Binary. A great double overtake into turns 1 and 2 from Slazenger Volvo, and CJ hasn't done enough to break that 1-second gap. The DRS too powerful. He's out on his own at the front. No DRS for him, and Slaz is now closing in. Got a caution in sector 2. Who is that? Off the track. That's Reesmack, sorry, and Costin and Goblin. Getting yellow flags popping up. And you can imagine Mr. DJ CJ and Binary at the moment praying that that's a yellow flag, that's a safety car. But it doesn't come their way, and BXTN is all over the heels of Binary at the moment. Kicking up. You can see the smoke coming off Binary's car as he locks up slightly. And the less grip these tyres have, the more prone they are to locking up. Slaz does the fastest lap of the race. He's going alongside with Mr. DJ CJ. Just like in Silverstone, these two are battling. But this time, it's Slazenger that comes out on top. Into turn 1 they go. CJ's going to try and fight it. Coming back at him, but it's not going to be enough. Those tyres are just too old, too done for. And Slaz checking out. Already 5 tenths ahead of CJ. CJ's going to do well, though, as BXTN has made his way up past Binary. All of them close together. Binary managing to hold off the charging Lex. And Websy very close behind as well. Huff and Dobak also was in this fight. And they're all so close. And BXTN with a massive lockup. 2.1 seconds off CJ. And CJ is just... I think he'll be happy if he gets second in this race. So 2 seconds to BXTN is going to be an absolute dream for him. And he's not... I said Slaz was checking out, didn't I? But I was very wrong. 6/10 between the two of them. And CJ is going to have DRS come the start-finish straight. And that's going to keep him in touch with Slaz. And that's exactly what he needs, is that DRS to keep him away from BXTN, who's now just 1.9 seconds behind Slaz with the fastest lap of the race so far, a 1:17.5. As Lex is making a move on Binary into turn 1 to go. And Lex on the inside does what others have not, taking the inside line into that corner. And he's shown how easy it becomes to make that move stick. There just must not be enough grip on the outside. You got to think Webbs is going to want to bite of the cherry here. Get in on this action. At the moment, he's sat stationary in 6th as others have made up places. Webbs has remained in 6th. Huff and Dolbach probably getting frustrated as well. This will be Webbs' chance. He needs to make it count. Going into turn 1. So he's going to have the DRS over Binary. He's going to have to make this overtake stick. Because at the moment, Binary is falling outside a second of Lex. And Webbsy does not want Lex to start to be dragged away from him with the DRS. So here we go then. Webbsy closing in. Is it going to be an overtake? It is. He's looking on the inside. He goes for it. And they collide. Binary closes the door. The door was definitely... They deserved to be open. But yet again... Binary and Webbsy coming together. Surely Binary knew that Webbsy was going to try for that move. But closed the door anyway. And Lex on the back of BXTN. Controversial. That will prove between Binary and Webbsy. Them two have come together before. You've got to wonder. Binary must have known that Webbsy would be there. I can't imagine. It was so close going down the straight. And here goes Lex on BXTN on the outside of the corner. It's proven before that it's not really the place to make an overtake. These two have come together though, and BXTN's got the DRS. They've collided slightly. Lex and BXTN into the first turn. BXTN manages to hold on, and they banged wheels, and that's put Lex really... That's put Huff and Dobak into play. And Webbsy's made his way up past Binary finally. I guess the door wasn't closed the second time around. And Webbsy's got it all to do. He's got 4.5 seconds to make up after that collision. He's not going to be very happy about that, is he? I'm assuming that clip is going to go to the stewards. We'll let them decide. So I'm not going to comment on it further. I personally, I don't understand the thinking behind closing the door there. It was desperation, I'd say, from Binary. He was now 1.3 seconds behind a much faster Webbsy. And BXTN. So we got a safety car. Safety car comes out again for the 4th time this race. And that is music to Binary's ears. To CJ's ears. Maybe a little bit too late for Binary as he's already moved down to 7th, but he's going to be able to bolt on a fresh set of medium tyres. Go to the end of this race. We're going to have 8 laps maybe left in the session. I don't think the softs will go that far. Not publish the chat. Not publish the chat. What is this? Got somebody putting a lot of messages into the Discord, and I don't know how to unmute them. Not into the Discord, into the Twitch chat. I'd like to unmute you, but I'm not sure how. Okay then, into the pits everybody goes. Slazenger Volvo, obviously the first of everybody to put on a fresh set of medium tyres. So it is mediums to the end, and those that are putting on the mediums do have fresh sets, so they'll be very happy about that. It's Slaz, it's CJ, it's BXTN, Lex, Huff and Dolbach, Websy, Binary. Slow out of the box, but stays in 7th place. Binary on a fresh set of hard tyres. So a bit of a pace disadvantage there for Binary. Maybe he didn't have the fresh set of mediums to go. The fact that he's got a fresh set of hards actually probably tells you a lot. Go back to the that's interesting. It's the opposite of what I wanted. Anyway. There we go. Okay then, so this race has essentially almost been reset. Albeit Lex is a few places behind. But Slazenger Volvo is right back where he started, isn't he? Which will be fantastic for him. As Jordan says, Lex P1. And let's see if Lex can get P1. He's incredibly fast, isn't he? Missed out on pole position just marginally. Invalidated his lap time. You've got to think that he could have taken pole if he didn't invalidate that final run. Would have protected him from the overtake that BXTN made. These drivers going around one final time with the safety car. There's been plenty in this race. Somehow, some way, I'm Mr. DJ CJ and Binary, after having everything thrown at them, are still in contention for this. You can't really count out Binary either. He's in 7th place at the moment. This is not what Websy wants to hear, because Websy doesn't want to go wheel to wheel with Binary again at the moment. After what happened the last time. You can't discount Binary from coming up the field in these late stages. Safety car is in this lap. As we see the safety car checking out into the distance. And it will be up to Slaz to get this safety car restart right. He got it wrong the last time. It was his responsibility to restart the race. He pulled away on the first corner. And, well, on the last corner, sorry. And BXTM was all over that and took the lead of the race into the first corner. And this time, Slaz has gone and CJ is 6 tenths behind. It looked like CJ was wise to it, but already had a bit of a gap. So Slaz manages to pull away. 7 tenths between the two of them. BXTN very close behind. There's nobody really that's having a look on an overtake. Apart from on the inside, that was Binary and Santry. Binary manages to make that move stick magically. Or was that David Kovalaki? And I've just messed up the camera angles. Anyway, we'll continue on. Slazenger leading the race already by 8 tenths of a second. He's doing great here on this track. Maybe a potential win for him. It's just 8 laps remaining in this session. Well, 9 if you include this one. And CJ already a second behind. Lex keeping in touch with BXTN. Just behind him, Huff and Dolbach. As those hard tyres for Binary are not looking beneficial, are they? I don't think he had any mediums to bolt on, otherwise he would have surely done so. And with Binary being the stopgap between 7th, 6th and 8th, you got to think it's just between the top 6 now for the winner of this race. As Slaz crosses the line and starts the next lap, a DRS will be enabled for the next lap of the race. Quite a unique track in terms of Formula 1 because obviously the DRS detection point is on the lap before. And there's no DRS detection point at all within the lap. It means essentially there's 2 laps until we get DRS instead of the normal 1. So it gives drivers an opportunity to pull out a little bit of breathing space. Huff and Dolbach so close before, but now so far. And Lex is charging on BXTN. And these two, they've come together several times. And when they do, when one makes an overtake on the other, there's always a little bit of contact. It's nothing dramatic, but there's always a lot of wheel banging between these two. Here he goes. But BX10 is so close to the back of Mr. DJ. CJ as well. CJ wanting to hold on. He's got that DRS. There's just 4 tenths between him and BXTN. I don't think the BXTN is going to be able to make the overtaking move. I think you need to be at least within 3 tenths, even 2, to get the overtake done. Because of the nature of these corners, they're sweeping and fast. Even when they're supposed to be slow, there's not many slow speed corners at all. You slow down for the final corner and you essentially accelerate out of it. Carry a lot of speed. I think you take it in 4th. Had a couple of lockups there and Lex a little bit out of shape. That's Huff and Dolbach making an overtake on Lex. There was a little bit of contact there. You could just see a bit of carbon fibre come off one of the cars. I'm not sure whose car it was. But Lex has been overtaken by Huff and Dolbach in a very unusual place because Lex lost control of the car. And that pressure just getting to Lex a little bit. He's got the pace to be up there with the top for the winner of the race. But Lex at the moment down in 5th. And not able to do much. He's just 2 tenths though behind Huff and Dolbach. He's going to attempt to make the overtake. 2 cars go right. Only 1 car has a look though. Huff and Dolbach tight to the inside of turn 1. Covers that off, but he's not going to have DRS. Yes, he does. He just does have DRS. Tries to cover off Lex. Lex makes slight contact with the back of Huff and Dolbach into turn 2. Turn 3 they go. Coming up to turn 4. And well, essentially, there's not going to be an overtaking opportunity here. because he's not close enough for one, and it's way too tight through there. We saw BXTN and Lex try to go through there before, and well, one car didn't quite make it through. CJ and BXTN fighting for second place. CJ trying to keep in touch with Slaz, who's doing enough throughout the lap to keep CJ at bay. It's quite strategic as well. This time around, they'll be using the battery, deploying it at certain points in the race, in the circuit. You've got to think here, all of them will be dumping the overtake, dumping the battery to protect against the overtake, to attack the driver ahead. We've got 3 cars very close, and that's Websy on the inside of 2. And he takes 4th place. They're also very close. Lex is going to try and come back at Websy. He's going to put him on the outside of the corner. Websy just a little bit out of shape, and that's going to allow Huff and Dolbach to come back at him. It's so close between them. Websy's always in close battles, isn't he? I kind of feel sorry for him because it's just always so close and always seems to pick up contact. But he's managed to remain safe. He's up into 5th. He's going to want to try and get past Lex as soon as possible. He's got the pace over him, clearly. But we'll see what he can do. Lex is no longer under pressure from Huff and Dolbach, but he doesn't have that DRS anymore from the driver ahead, importantly. So Lex is going to be a little bit of a sitting duck on the start-finish straight. But at the moment, Slaz has proven that that's not the worst thing that can happen, because he's keeping CJ at bay, he's keeping BX10 at bay. He's soaking up the pressure very well. And a driver that's done this 1,000 times before. And yet, I can guarantee heart will be in mouth at the moment for Slaz. He's just thinking about getting to lap 35 and crossing the line in first. That's all that's going through his mind. Eking out. Seeing where they're faster than him to the delta. And look at this. I'm Mr. DJ CJ. 2 tenths to Slaz now. He's closed in. Slaz is trying to pull away. You can see the aggressive nature in which he's slotting that car into each corner. Using all the track. I think CJ used a little bit more there. You could see he just gained half a tenth. Out of turn 11. Few hairpins on this circuit. And I think Slaz has done just enough to keep CJ behind. It's 3 tenths, 4 tenths. Yes, he has done enough. I think CJ lost a little bit of traction out at turn 14. He's 4 tenths behind, 3 tenths behind. Is CJ going to try and make an overtaking move? Yes, he is. Hard on the brakes he goes. Late on the brakes, locks up and goes very deep into the corner. It's going to put him on the back foot compared to Slaz. And Slaz lives to fight another day. Thank you very much for the follow, Jordan. Appreciate it. BXTN and CJ so close together as well. And BXTN, as we saw in qualifying, he likes to wait. He won't go out immediately and do a lap. He'll wait until it makes sense to do a lap. Maybe he's not making the overtake yet. He'll wait until it makes sense to do the overtake. And he's now just 2 tenths, just 1 tenth behind I'm Mr. DJ CJ. They're coming up now to turn 12. Can BXTN hold this gap for the start-finish straight? It's so close between the two of them. We're coming up to lap 34 or 35. There's just 2 laps remaining in this session. And BXTN losing touch slightly with CJ, who's going to have DRS from the car in front. Has a little look. This is going to be brave from BXTN. There's no space there. CJ does very well to see it, though. Half-hearted move from BX10, put himself under immense pressure. And he's going to want to be a bit closer than that. CJ did well not to allow BX10 to save his front wing there, because that could have been disastrous. And Lex is closed up to the back of BX10. Websy's still in 5th. And look at how close they are. Just, it's incredible. We're on lap 34 or 35, albeit we've had safety car after safety car after safety car, but this is lap 34 of 35, and look at the gaps. And nobody's willing to give an inch. Just one penalty will throw you out of contention, and they're all aware of that. So then, Slazenger of Volvo out of the final corner. The final lap has begun. There's going to be no more overtaking opportunities here. This is it. This is your last chance. Websy looking up on the inside of Lex. Is he going to make the move? No, he's not. Just 1/10 behind, but there wasn't enough space. Binary gets Huff and Dolbach, though. He goes on the inside of turn 1. Huff and Dolbach fights it, but unfortunately misses out. He's down into 7th. Binary picking up 6th place. And this is where we're going to be on the lookout for desperate moves, because this is your last chance. BX10 and Lex going side by side into turn 4. Again, it's not going to be enough. There's not enough room there to fit 2 cars. We've seen it happen before, but BX10 is not obliged to lead the space. We've got a yellow flag for Cottony Goblin coming out of the first corner. That's Ace, sorry. And Websy and Lex very close to each other. Websy knows it's now or never if he wants to pick up 4th place from Lex. Got a caution in Sector 2. Binary's picked up a 3-second time penalty, and that's going to put Huff and Dolbach ahead. But here goes Slazenger of Volvo, rounding out the final corner, crosses the line, and wins the Hungarian Grand Prix. CJ comes 2nd, BXTR comes 3rd, Lex 4th, Websy 5th, Huff and Dolbach takes 6th place away from Binary, who got that 3-second time penalty. Santry brings it home in 8th. We've got 4 more cars to cross the line in a certain order. Here comes David Kovalaki, 15 seconds off Santry with penalties, and he finishes 9th. Where's Reese Max? Reese Max picks up the final point of the race, brings it home in 10th. Ace crossed the line in 11th, and Cottony Goblin is our final finisher for this race. Assassin Savage and Micro Mash DNF'd from the session. What an incredible race! All the way to the line, Slazenger picks up his first win in RCR for this season. And importantly for CJ, he finishes ahead of Binary. But it's Slaz who wins and takes the top spot. I assume he's right now dancing around his room, jumping up and down. It's the only way to react when you win an RCR race. It means that much to these drivers, trust me. They get a trophy as well. Anyway, let's round up and go through the finishing order one more time. Slazenger of Volvo picks up his first win for RCR this season, and the fastest lap as well to boot. CJ brings it home in 2nd. After a difficult race, manages to finish 2nd, so well done to him. BXTN in 3rd, Lex 4th, Websy 5th. Didn't manage to pick up that position over Lex. Looked very fast throughout the race, but unfortunately for him, didn't manage to capitalise on it, maybe because of that collision with Binary. Who knows? Anyway, Huff and Dolbach, Binary, Santry, David Kovalaki, and Reese Max round out your top 10. Then it's Ace, Cottony Goblin, Assassin Savage, and Micro Mash. And that's everybody in finishing order, apart from, well, those who didn't finish, which were the last 2. Right then. Thank you very much, everybody who watched. We're just going to go over to the track map and show the calendar. So next week we are at the fantastic circuit, this Spa-Francorchamps, Belgium, or formerly known, or colloquially known as Spa. That's next week, Tuesday, 2 p.m. Tuesday, 9:30 p.m. UK time. Thank you very much, everybody who watched. Really appreciate it. Thank you to those that followed as well. Helps massively keep these streams going. So greatly appreciate everybody who stuck around and even just kept the stream playing throughout the race if you did that as well. Again, thank you one last time. See you again next week. Bye-bye for now.